What's up everybody, welcome to another episode of the greatest vlog in the world. My name is Jeff, your favorite tour guide in Madeira, and in this case in the United States of America. Alright, so many people used to give me a hard time for saying Madeira instead of Madeira, so I'm saying America instead of America. And we are in fact in Jacksonville, Illinois, if you can believe it. I believe we're probably the first Madeirans to be here since the 19th century. to have come from Madeira since the 19th century, maybe.
It's crazy when you think about it.
And this is probably the first ever YouTube video made about Madeirans in Jacksonville, because there is nothing anywhere about this story. And I can tell you that this video did not go as we thought it would. So without any further ado, let's find out what exactly we're doing here. It took us 12 hours to get to this place in 2024. So if you can imagine these Madeiran migrants who came here in 1860, they must have walked, of course, right? I mean, they're not gonna take 2 Ubers, a flight, and a train ride to get to Jacksonville. So this place, I can only imagine how much these guys must have felt, and also how much olhado that they must have felt. I got a little bit of a feeling about what's going on here, and I told Andre yesterday, because we had a bit of a rough day yesterday when we were traveling, and kind of everything was going wrong. We still got a lot of things that are kind of going wrong, and in Madeira, or in Madeira, we like to say that that's what you say, olhado roxo. In English, the evil eye is of course when somebody's jealous of you or thinking bad thoughts about you, is that you get these bad vibes. I'm sure the evil eye is an English thing as well. Andrea's got a bumped leg. We're both feeling very down and very tired. There's not much we can do. The town is actually a lot smaller than I thought, right? When we were here and people are saying, oh, you go to Jacksonville to do what? There's nothing there, you know? I decided that if this is the only video we're gonna do, right? If things are so bad that we have to abandon mission, then hopefully I can at least tell the story in Jacksonville, and then we can fill it in with some nice things. So I'm gonna go through some of the facts for you guys real quick, so you can know a little bit about this, but hopefully we can explain this in a nicer setting tomorrow, because we've got one more day in Jacksonville before we have to go to Springfield at 6 a.m, which is another stupid thing. We planned this so badly. So it's on the other phone. It's on the other phone, Andrea. I haven't got Google Drive set up on this phone.
You gotta get the other phone.
I gotta get the other phone. Do I really want to though? But in 1828, Reid Kalley, apparently both a minister and physician, and his wife were in the way from Scotland to China or South America. They arrived there to be missionaries. She got sick and they had to stop in Madeira. They never left and soon opened a hospital, a school, and started to teach Bible lessons to their patients and students. This created conflicts with the teachings of the Catholic priests, and by 1842, the bishop declared that Kalley's version of the Bible was adulterated. He then excommunicated everyone who tried to read it. This guy comes, and obviously not being Catholic, in such a predominantly Catholic place like Madeira in the 19th century, got kicked out, and these guys found their way. Reid Kalley, of course, felt a little bit of remorse, you know, and guilt, because he was the one who brought this trauma along. Do you remember how many people? 1,600 people? This guy then took it onto himself to find a solution for these guys, and one of the solutions was Trinidad and Tobago, which they head out. They managed to get there, but conditions weren't favorable, and Reid Kalley found Jacksonville, found solace, I believe, first in another place in Illinois, and then they landed up in Jacksonville because they were given land and support. These guys, when they arrived there, they assimilated so much into American culture, they didn't want to be known as Madeiran Portuguese kind of thing. And what we found is that in almost every other community that we've gone to, is that there's Portuguese clubs, if not Madeiran clubs, and big feasts like you just saw. But in Jacksonville, there's not a single Portuguese restaurant, Portuguese club, nothing like that. Okay, I need some Tylenol. Ah. We just spoke with a guy called Luke, one of the park rangers in the visitor center. So we are in Springfield, Illinois. This is the town just kind of outside Jacksonville. It's like 40 minutes outside of Jacksonville. And this is the town that is known for Abraham Lincoln. And there is the first part of our story. All right, so we walked in kind of looking for some kind of evidence on a couple of stories we've heard about Abraham Lincoln connected to Madeiran migrants that came here in the 19th century, which we'll get to. And I spoke to this young man, Luke, and as soon as I said that we were looking for this story, he was like, oh yeah, well, I know. And I said, well, apparently Abraham Lincoln's dressmaker was Madeiran. And he said, yes, Charlotte de Souza. So it's good to know that we're finally on the right path on this mission today in this video. So he mentioned another house which we're going to check out now, this Cornier house, Corner house, which I did read up as well. That is where Reid Kalley stayed while he was here after leaving Madeira. We're going to get into who Reid Kalley was, why Madeiran migrants are here, and all of that kind of stuff. But first, we want to check out if we can find out a little bit more about Charlotte de Souza. It's weird, I actually feel like I'm in a movie set and I'm playing some kind of new, different kind of Amish. Okay? This could pull off as an Amish. We're not going to talk about religion, I'm sorry. But we have seen some Amish people here. It'd be the first time I've ever seen anyone Amish. This kind of looks a little bit, somebody thought this was a hunting hat. She's like, are you a hunter? If you guys don't know, this is a very traditional Madeiran hat. I'm gonna try and guess the name, a carapuço. Is that right?
Carapuça, but it's
Carapuça. It's not exactly. It's more of a touristic one, right? Part of our mission today was like, you know what, let's just wear one of these. And maybe someone will be like, oh, that's from Madeira. But I don't think it's going to happen. It's one of these houses here, Andrea.
check it.
Maybe it's the one with the camera. First thing we can see, Rodriguez, all right? Well, Andrea actually noticed it. And yeah,
Souza with the Z.
And Souza with a Z, yeah, which is more like Spanish and that kind of thing. But anyway, of course, a lot of American Portuguese people we found have had their names changed. And this is what we've seen for one of two reasons. One is that a lot of the people on the boats and the entrances, so the people who came here, this was in the 19th century, the Madeiran migrants that came to Illinois, to Jacksonville and Springfield, these guys would have come in, from what I could understand, through Castle Clinton in New York, all right, and then walk up here, which is crazy. So either at Castle Clinton, they would have spelt the name wrong because they couldn't understand, Americans couldn't understand when they heard the name. So there was a language barrier there, and people would say the names wrong or write them down wrong. So we've seen some of these kind of things. We've seen Souzas, and we've seen de Freitas, which is like Perry's. But de Freitas is the best. It's D-E-F-R-A-T-E-S, de Freitas. And then the second reason is so that they could become a little bit more Americanized. So some Portuguese people, we've seen this as a little bit of a trend. A lot of Portuguese people wanted to be a little bit more American, wanted to assimilate with the culture a lot more. And for that reason, you know, they played American football and they listened to American music, and they tried to be more American, which included, you know, Americanizing your name. Charlotte Rodriguez de Souza, one of the dressmakers of Abraham Lincoln, which is pretty cool. Look at that.
Madeira.
Well, that's, yeah, but there it's spelled right.
Madeira, Portugal.
So the Souza was born in Madeira, Portugal, 1843. Well, to find a better life is actually not true. All right, they established a new Presbyterian church, which is what we have seen in both in Springfield and in Jacksonville. 1860 she was hired, which I believe was when Lincoln was like at his highest. From what I was seeing, he was, don't know anything about Abraham Lincoln. I'm not going to try and teach you guys, but from what I understand is that he was a lawyer and he arrived there, a very little kind of thing, up and coming lawyer, and he was only president much later. But in 1860, hired by the Lincoln family, I believe in 1860 he was already pretty well known. So there really was she was really like part of the family. This Abraham Lincoln Madeiran connection has been absolutely fascinating for me. And the story of Charlotte de Souza is not actually where it started, at least not the first story that I found. So what I've found is that the Portuguese eventually actually decided to build a church in these areas, in Jacksonville and in Springfield, and they actually built a couple of churches. But I found this very interesting article that Abraham Lincoln actually donated money to the second Portuguese church. So there's actually a shot of the check. There's actually a copy of the check on this article. Lincoln's awareness of the second Portuguese church could have originated from Portuguese clients of the law firm of Lincoln and Herndon, but his more personal interest probably stemmed from the family's employment of young Francis Afonso. Funny enough, it's spelled with 2 F's, Afonso. And here it says, Francis, a dark-skinned, black-eyed Portuguese girl, came to the house sometime between Lincoln's defeat for the US Senate in 1858 and his presidential nomination. She's reported to have declared simply, "I wash clothes, Mrs. Lincoln." Maybe she was, friends with Charlotte. I guess we'll never really know. But it does say that the girl's conscientious, that's the mouthful, conscientiously. The girl's conscientious work and good nature made a favorable impression on Mary Lincoln, who was known to be hard on household help. We don't know exactly which Portuguese church this is because it's not on here. It does say that there was a Presbyterian Portuguese church in another link. There's another article about when Springfield took in Portuguese refugees. And it talks about the church here, it talks about Kalley and everything. Then it says here, First Presbyterian Portuguese Church. And it says that it was on the corner of 7th and Reynolds Streets. Reynolds. This church over here is on the corner of 7th and Capitol. So maybe Reynolds Street got changed to Capitol.
Or it's the one in Jacksonville.
Or it's the one in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we might not get to. We'll see. We're at the Lincoln Library in Springfield, and one of my subscribers, one of our fans, actually reached out to us when she found out that we were coming this way. I won't say your name, you know who you are. And you actually gave us an idea about going into the library, and I can't remember off the top of my head if it was this library or the one in Jacksonville. The lady up here, we're on the 3rd floor, has been absolutely incredible. She's given us all of the stuff which we're gonna dig into on the bigger table in a second, but also access to the local newspaper. The cool thing is you can, from the 1840s all the way to present day, they've got they've got these digitized versions of their newspaper. So this particular one I'm looking at now is from May 25th, 1849. Another arrival of Portuguese refugees. A considerable number of the 1,000 persons who fled from the island of Madeira to Trinidad, all on account of religious persecution, arrived at this port on Saturday in a small schooner chartered for the purpose. I don't know what a schooner is. From the latter island and placed themselves under the care of the American Protestant Society. So, you know, I've been looking through some of these things. The cool thing is that you can check out names. So Andrea was just on this side over here, and he said he found the Gouveia section, that there's the freights and silvers and all sorts. You know, there's also this book over here. So again, you know, the lady's been giving us all the stuff. If you guys are looking for, you know, history from your family, then you want to come up here. This is the, I'll tell you exactly which room it is. I saw it on here. The Sangamon Valley Collection room on the 3rd floor. And the guy who wrote this book, The Tales from Portuguese Hill, is Bill de Freitas. Okay, so we found out who this de Freitas is. At least we think we found out. It turns out to be a guy by the name of Joseph, which here is actually named Joe, which is a little bit more Madeiran, or Portuguese, should I say. Seems to have been given the name Mr. Chili Man. Turns out that this guy is a little bit of a chili enthusiast. And then it goes even deeper. It says that his father, Walt Port de Freitas, got the nickname Port, which is also kind of interesting. Began selling frozen bricks of chili in 1914 under the name Port's Brand Chili. And his uncle Reid de Freitas, or de Freitas, founded the canning operation Ray's Chili. So it looks like these de Freitas were very much entrepreneurial. Joe did a lot for Springfield. He created a business here. He made a name for Springfield in the chili world. Springfield has something to be very proud of. It's pretty cool. You know, there's a state fair on there. Apparently there's a state fair on, and that's why there's no cars and there's no hotel rooms and Ubers and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, hopefully it's not going to be too much of a problem for us. This is after the 1838 island of Madeira conflict. Madeira. I think, or people just spelled really badly in this place. 1849, first Portuguese would arrive in Springfield, Illinois. Justine, Antonio, Manuel, and James de Freitas were 4 brothers who came to this country with their parents when they were children. 2 settled in Jacksonville and 2 settled in Springfield. They came from the island of Madeira again to escape religious conflicts. So I was curious to see if he actually had something about his Portuguese in him, because all this, like, it's like red, green, yellow. I mean, but it's the color of the chilies, you know. So, you know, this is a book, The Gathering of the Portuguese, and there's names in here. Andrea's already found some interesting things here from Funchal. You know, there's so many names. Joseph A. de Freitas, actually spelled correctly. John de Freitas, Thomas de Freitas, John D. Gomes, Vasconcelos, Ornelas, Ferreira. There's a lot here. So if my family was from here, this would be a great place to start if you guys are looking for this kind of thing. You also have to check out Madeira lineage, all right? Tanya helped me get my family tree and all of my stuff from my Portuguese side of my family. All you need is an official document. So if you got some kind of a document, she can start digging up some information for you in Madeira. If you are from Madeira, and if you are Portuguese from this place, then you most probably are from Madeira. There's so much here to even talk about. Here's a photo of the Trinidad School, which I saw as a little landmark in Jacksonville, where the Portuguese kids actually used to go to school. And it was called Trinidad because on the way to America, they stopped in Trinidad. But I believe must have been for the sugar cane industry, and that's kind of thing. And after not enjoying the conditions in Trinidad, they moved up to United States. So I mean, even old, you know, newspaper excerpts. There's even like obituary stuff. So like where some of these people are buried, which is pretty cool. And yeah, just there's more information here than I thought. It's to be honest. Last story that I found, and I actually also found on the computers, which is some pictures here, and I'm just going to read out the excerpt. These pictures of the Madeiran Exiles in the old prison building in Funchal, where Maria Joaquina Alves, not Alves, was imprisoned for over 23 months for reading the Bible. We know of the voyage, the deadly voyage. A lot of people died on the way here as well, at sea and things like that. So not all of the people who left Madeira actually made it. And even in Madeira, there were already people that died for sure. And this Maria Joaquina Alves is a great example of this as well, who was actually imprisoned for 23 months before she managed to escape for reading the Bible. So it's pretty hardcore how far we've come, right?
Yeah.
Little side notes, we are actually back in Madeira now. It's been a couple of months, and I wanted to include this section in this video because we've got a special guest with us. Andrea has come all the way from Illinois, not Jacksonville specifically, but she has been helping us with the whole production of this video. She gave us a couple of ideas, especially to go to the library and so on. So she was out here visiting Madeira, and we thought, why not get her in the Presbyterian church, all right, and you know, get a little bit more information about this story. So this is in fact the Presbyterian church that Reid Kalley founded, I believe, in somewhere around the 1840s, from what I saw real quickly online, 1845. Remember, we are actually building a full documentary on this, where we can find all the nice, fun, juicy facts. But for now, we just want to get a little bit of the story out. So follow me inside and let's have a little chat with Andrea. I just confused myself. Which one is it?
It's
Andrea. And what did I say, Andrea?
Andrea.
It's Andrea. Okay, come inside with me so we can speak with Andrea. I think I'm getting dumber and dumber by the day. There's something happening, like, I don't know what it is.
Another marathon.
Another marathon, maybe, yeah.
I just kind of started getting curious about my own ancestry, and there are a lot of things that I didn't know, that I had questions about. And so I started my search, on Ancestry.com, and I came across my second cousin's family tree. And it was on her family tree that I found the story. And that amazing story. I didn't really know until I was an adult that we had this connection. I have memories of being with my great-grandmother. She definitely looked Portuguese. But I didn't make that connection, unfortunately. Like, things like that weren't talked about that much, especially in that generation. They just, I don't know, just kept moving forward in life and didn't really reflect backwards that much. So, and that's why I got really curious, is because things just weren't really talked about, in our past. I started doing a little bit more research and found, kind of where they went. They initially, I left Funchal. I did go to Trinidad. They did not go initially with that first group to New York City. They went to Baltimore, and then New Orleans, and then to Jacksonville. The little bits that I've heard about my family, it seems as though that it was because of religious, reasons why they left. I think it's well worthwhile. Be prepared that you might find some things that are maybe a little unsavory. I definitely found some things. Found some siblings, or aunts and uncles that I didn't know about. So just be prepared that you might find some family secrets. But more than anything, I am so grateful for this journey, and I do feel more connected to, frankly, the world. To come to Madeira, of all places on the planet, and you're like, I didn't know about Madeira until I searched my ancestry. And I've been very blessed to get to come here. I'm here because of the tenacity of my relatives, and they stuck to their beliefs. And they didn't give in to that pressure, and that was tremendous pressure. And also the kindness of the people in the American Protestant society. It's because of them that I'm here. And I'm married, and I have a child, and I have a job that I love. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this.
Andrea, a little bit lighter. What's your favorite Portuguese food?
Oh my gosh. Probably espetada.
So there's still a lot of Madeiran in you.
Apparently.
Does this look familiar to you? You haven't seen something like this somewhere? Hey, this kind of busk. The Ronaldo, yeah, except what? Well, apparently they said that we need to rub Lincoln's nose, some good luck, and to get rid of Olhado. Hey? Yes. Andre, from here on out, I think we're looking for better things. So if you come to Jacksonville now, you're going to find very little trace of anything Portuguese. There's no Portuguese clubs, no Portuguese restaurants, none of that kind of stuff. All the Portuguese people apparently used to live around the area of Independence Avenue, and you can't even find, well, you can find that name, but you can't really find anything like Madeira related. They used to call it Portuguese Hill, and if you look on a map, apparently there is a map in the Jacksonville Library that actually says Madeira on it. Unfortunately, we didn't get that far out into it, but we did find a lot in Springfield. So right now we're at the Jacksonville Square. This is in downtown Jacksonville, and it is quite pretty. I think this is probably the more like touristic side of Jacksonville. Very, very small town in the Midwest in the US. And certainly they do things here quite differently. Before anyone gives me a hard time to be filming inside a cemetery, this was not our idea. All right, someone else gave us this idea and we thought, hey, yeah, if we can't find the ones who are alive, then maybe we can find the dead ones, right? But, I hope you guys are all resting in peace. And I'm trying really hard not to joke about this. We found a De Freitas, a silver. We found many other more, all from the 19th century. So on that bombshell, I think it's time for Andrea and I to leave this place. I think it's actually been more productive than we thought, right? And I'm hoping that this gave some value to anyone watching, or any of you guys who are just interested in most of the things that we've been doing, and the Portuguese in America and all of that kind of stuff. Or those of you who are looking for your relatives, maybe this video could help. Write us a comment in the description if you've watched this video and you are Portuguese from this area. Let us know, please. And yeah, I think that's more or less about it. Andrea?
Let's hit the road.
Let's hit the road. Hey, we did it.
We did it.
Did you think we were gonna be able to? I don't know.
I was not in a million years.
Yeah.
I mean, the Olhado was pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. And do you think we'll find a trip back to Jacksonville?
Oh man, maybe yeah. Man. let's have faith. You know?
It's a faith.
Let's
yeah.
have faith.
Yeah.
And maybe let's have faith and a horseshoe.
And a
sandwich
horseshoe at Darcy's.
at Darcy's, which is something that people.
Yeah, people
Look
say
for.
we should be doing. Okay, yeah.
Cheers.